Hi everybody, so welcome to this revision video on the Banquo's ghost scene in Macbeth. So this is Act 3, Scene 4. It would be helpful if you had this document in front of you, which is an analysis grid of Act 3, Scene 4. If you don't, then what I would advise doing is having a piece of paper, some pens, ideally different colours, perhaps a copy of the text, and make some notes. When you need to stop to make some notes, either on flashcards or perhaps a mind map, then pause the video and make some notes. Okay, so first of all, this is a scene in which the ghost of Banquo appears at a banquet that Lady Macbeth and Macbeth are giving. Remember that in the previous scene, Banquo was killed and Fleance, his son, escaped because Macbeth hired two murderers to kill them, because he believed that Banquo's sons would become heir to the throne, and therefore his power was under threat. So let's think about, first of all, why the ghost of Banquo enters and sits in Macbeth's place. Pause the video and write a note. What is the significance of him sitting in Macbeth's stool? Okay, check your notes. If you don't have any of this, then note it down. It could be that Banquo is seen to be symbolically replacing Macbeth. So Macbeth's greatest fear is that someone now, after having had this blood on his hands, after having to kill Duncan, that someone is going to take this power from him. And the witch's prophecies said that Banquo's sons would become king. So this is his ultimate fear. So it's a symbol of Banquo replacing Macbeth, usurping him. Let's think about that as a key word. So to replace him, and especially to replace someone in a position of power or royalty, it could be that he is being usurped by Banquo. It's a symbol. Okay, let's now look at the next quotation. Macbeth says, after seeing Banquo's ghost, he vows to Lady Macbeth, "By times I will to the weird sisters. More shall they speak, for now I am bent to know by the worst means the worst." So he chooses to revisit the witches now. Why do you think this moment of seeing the ghost of Banquo, why does this push him to revisit the witches? Pause the video and make a note. Why do you think? Okay, let's have a think about it. And if you didn't get any of this, add it to your notes. The fact that he wants to see the weird sisters, the witches, now shows that he is no longer willing to listen or to wait for things to happen. He is no longer willing to wait for fate. He's trying to control the situation and control his own destiny. Look at the type of words he uses, the confidence. I am bent to know, more shall they speak. There's confidence in and the urgency in his tone. And he says he will know by the worst means the worst. This is where he becomes quite Machiavellian. So if you are a Machiavellian character, then you are willing to do anything to achieve your goals, including murder. So if he wants to know by the worst means, he's literally willing to do the worst in order to achieve his goals. He then goes on to say, I am in blood stepped in so far that should I wade no more, returning were as tedious as go o'er. Let's have a look at the translation of that. I have walked so far into this river of blood that even if I stop now, it would be as hard to go back to being good as it is to keep killing people. So what has Macbeth realised? Pause the video and have a go at explaining what he has realised. Okay, so let's have a look at your notes and see what you got. So he realises that he can't go back from what he's done. His actions that he took, he was scared of the consequences before, wasn't he? Before, when he was equivocating about whether he would be able to kill Duncan, he said that the consequences he wouldn't be the be-all and end-all, that the horrid deed would be blown in every eye. Now he realises that there is no going back. He is locked into this mode of being, and he is no longer able to return to the way that he was. Moving on, he says, strange things I have in head that will to hand, which must be acted ere they may be scanned. Look at the rhyme that he uses there. This comes at the end of a speech, which shows a sense of confidence and the fact that he's resigned to something, I think. So that translates as, I have to do these things before I have a chance to think about them. So this is a Macbeth who deliberated for quite a while about whether he was going to kill King Duncan. He did think about whether he was going to kill Banquo. He listed the reasons he was going to kill Banquo. But here he goes that one step further. He says, as soon as I have this impulse, as soon as I have this thought, which usually is a murderous thought, isn't it? He's got to act before that people have a chance to understand what he's doing, or before he even has a chance to deliberate, to think, to equivocate. So look at how he's changed. Lady Macbeth says to him, you lack the innate season of all natures, sleep. Now, this idea of sleep comes up a few times in the play. Have a think about where we get the idea of sleep. Try and list as many quotations as you can where sleep is mentioned. Okay, you might have Macbeth hath murdered sleep. Macbeth shall sleep no more. The sleeping and the dead are but as pictures. I can't remember the quotes off the top of my head, but Banquo and Flayens talk about sleep and nightmares before the death of Duncan. So sleep comes up a fair bit, and the idea of dreams. Why can't Macbeth sleep? And what does this show about his state of mind? Pause the video again and make some notes. Finally, look at what Macbeth says about the ghost of Banquo. Thy bones are marrowless, thy blood is cold, thou hast no speculation in those eyes. There's no marrow in your bones, your blood is cold, you're staring at me with eyes that have no power to see. So what is it about Banquo that truly scares Macbeth? It's the fact that he does not conform to reality. He should not be alive. There is the lines between reality and dreams are being blurred, and he's become something monstrous that makes no sense to him. And if it makes no sense to Macbeth, then perhaps it's something that he can't control. And at this point in the play, Macbeth is obsessed with the idea of being able to control the outcomes of his actions.